I'd like to start by paying homage to the Vedic tradition of masters and teachers who have given us this knowledge of integration of life through His Divinity, Swami Brahmananda Saraswati, Jagat Guru of Jyotirmat, and his great disciple, His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. The ancient knowledge of Veda and Vedic literature and the traditions and technologies of this knowledge have been introduced to the world in a wide way and have been subjected to scientific research, as today's language is a language of science. We want to know what works, what doesn't work, and also how things work. And so Maharishi was very clear and inspiring to all the scientists to subject in every possible way the knowledge and science of consciousness from the Vedic tradition to rigorous scientific study and scientific understanding. And that's how today we have actually spirituality as a science, consciousness as a science, and the technologies that improve human consciousness for the individual and for society as a true science of life, demonstrated in its effectiveness and its in theoretical understanding. So our discussions today, to simplify it, will be on two general categories, two general levels, which I like to keep in mind. One is, does it work? And two, how does it work? Because these are the things that scientists want to know. You do something, does it work or it doesn't work? Once you know it works, and you want to understand how is it possible that it works. And in any scientific framework or scientific theory, these are the two things that scientists look for. The effect in the lab or in the human lab or whatever level of demonstration we are doing, and then how is it possible that it could work. Particularly in our case, where we are talking about something that on the surface level is intangible, which is consciousness. Because when we say we are looking at objects, we are looking at different aspects of reality, we see them through our senses, and we are sure everything exists as it is, as our senses show them to us. We see the sun rising in the sky from the east goes to the west. We say the sun moves in the sky. Now, when you look deeper, you can find a different reality. And for centuries and millennia, it was thought that the sun moves in the sky, that the earth is flat and is not moving. And then, based on different thinking and analysis, it was discovered that actually it's the earth that's rotating around its axis that creates the sense of movement of the sun in the sky. And therefore, it was obvious for the scientists at that time that the sun is actually the center of the solar system, and the earth is rotating around it, and the earth is rotating around its axis, and that's what happens. That is fine, and that's fine that at the beginning there was a resistance against believing that actually the earth is not flat and it's rotating, because at the beginning one has doubts about it. What is really incredible is that it took 300 years, 300 years after those descriptions, before actually it became commonly accepted that it's the Earth rotating around its axis rather than the sun moving in the sky. So new discoveries can take a while in order for them to be accepted when they are different from what our senses see, what our senses see. So our senses and our habit of believing that all that there is material life, is energy and physical existence and object is all there is, and that out of this comes suddenly something we call consciousness, which we experience as humans, is a very entrenched kind of feeling and belief in human tradition, culture, and society. That is to say, in modern kind of thinking and scientific thinking. Fortunately, the Vedic tradition has a different understanding of reality, and that is that ultimately consciousness is primary, and it is consciousness and its dynamics that lead to the experience and presence of the physical world. It's very hard to make the connection because how could it be if consciousness is a field, that that field appears as physical matter? Well, this is what we would like to consider with you, and if we don't answer these questions profoundly, we'll be happy to discuss them more in discussions and questions and answers. Suffice it to say that our primary understanding is that consciousness is a field, which means it is non-local, in the same way as, for example, an electromagnetic field or a gravitational field is non-local. It's something that is not limited in space. You know, the Earth exerts its gravitational field, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, the galaxies that have their gravitational field, and that field is all over and extends beyond strict limited dimension. It is like, in a simple way, the ocean and the waves. So you have the ocean and you have the waves on the surface of the ocean. You see the waves, they are localized, and if suppose you can see only the waves, then your mind and consciousness is limited on the existence of the waves. If you dive deep into the ocean, you discover that there is a field that is a field, what we call a field, which is the entire ocean and which is able to create all these waves. And then you can, if you act from the deeper levels of the field, then you are able to create an effect on the whole surface of its expressions. Of course, it's a metaphor, and metaphors have their limitations. But this is just to have a feeling of how the technology works. It works from the field level. Our consciousness, individual consciousness, which means our awareness. I am aware, you are here, you're aware, I'm talking, you are conscious of it. And you have different faculties of thinking, of intellect, of analyzing, of feeling about it, of seeing things through the senses. But all of this is happening in the field of consciousness. Because if we were not conscious, then neither you will understand, nor you will think, nor you will comprehend, nor you will feel. And what would it mean for you that anything exists, that you are maybe the most intelligent person, or beloved person, or wealthiest person in the universe? If you're not conscious, then all of these things don't matter. So that's why we say consciousness is primary, and that's why beautifully Ramji, our master of ceremony, has expressed that UNESCO saying, which is everything starts in the mind and consciousness and awareness. Decisions for war, decisions for conflict, decisions to make a business, decisions to take a profession, to do something, all happens in the mind, all happens in consciousness. And we understand consciousness, not just human consciousness, but as a field, it actually again manifests different values. As you will hear, Dr. Hagelin, a great scientist, will express how this concept of field is and the different layers of expressions, just to give us an idea of how it works. So, how it works is on the basis of enlivening something, which is the basis of everything, the field of consciousness. And that in the Vedic literature is beautifully expressed in Vedantic terms, and the fact that the field of consciousness is Satchit Ananda, that we are all that everything is that. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahm, uh, Vedoham, uh, and all of these values that are expressed, Aham Brahmasmi, are a reality in the scientific understanding today. I've had the chance and the fortune to work under Maharishi's guidance on showing, for example, how Veda and Vedic literature are actually the blueprint of our own human physiology, which means even the physical reality of our body is constructed according to the structure and function of Veda and Vedic literature. This is a huge topic, but it's very dear to my heart. I can't miss the occasion to express it to you because it also demonstrates the profound relationship between consciousness as experienced by the rishis, and this is the Veda and the Vedic literature, and our even human body is constructed according to that, which means the shlokas, the mantras, the sutras, uh, all of this are actually available in a physical form in our own body. And that's why human physiology is able to experience that unbounded field of consciousness and enliven it from its source, and therefore create an effect that is non-local. Because that's the main key. How can people somewhere create an effect everywhere? And that is because of non-locality. And science, physics has discovered non-locality because in quantum mechanics, we know that things interact with each other at infinite distances, and that is called entanglement. We know that in the fine aspects of quantum mechanics, there is non-locality, and that there is objects can be in different places at the same time. All of this is mind-boggling when we think about it from a classical perspective, but it is real. It is what science has discovered. And therefore, non-locality, action at a distance, is something physical, something that we know exists if you act from a deep level of understanding, a deep level of life. And therefore, what we are doing is acting from these deep levels. Since everything comes from that unified field, the field of consciousness, and since we as human beings have the capacity, because our physiology, our mind, our consciousness are already constructed according to the laws of nature, according to Veda, we are able to transcend, which means we are able to go beyond the surface value and go to the deepest level of our existence and the existence of everything in the universe, and that is the field of consciousness. And when we go there, we are able to create an effect that is, again, non-local and acting at a distance. Now, this is the basic idea of how it works, and the main thing is that it works. And this is what we have tried several times. In science, you have to repeat the experiment. For something to be scientific, it has to be reliable, it has to be repeatable, and it has to be systematic. Systematic means you do it in a system, in a specific way. Reliable means when you do it in that specific way, it produces the effect. And repeatable is that it doesn't produce the effect only once. You keep doing it, and it keeps producing the effect. These are the fundamentals of science. So what Maharishi Mahesh Yogi has given us is a system that is systematic. The teaching of how to go beyond the surface value to the field, to the depths of the field, is very systematic. And we have hundreds, thousands, many thousands of teachers around the world, and many millions who practice this technology of transcending, of transcendental consciousness. That are taught in the same systematic way, and their effects are very systematic and very reliable and very repeatable. They lead to great improvements in human mind, more creativity, more intelligence, ability for students to have better grades at school. They have better health, reduction in bad habits, ability to feel healthy and happy, reduction in disease, reduction in hospital admissions. At the same time, improved behavior, improved relationships, and also what we have seen beyond that, the effect on the whole society.